Okay, so we don't really know how much further out the universe goes. Like I said, we only know the radius from where we are is just under 14 billion light years, but we certainly know that there are other galaxies out there. Just from the simple fact that galaxies, on this side cannot see galaxies on that side because there hasn't been enough time in the universe for the light to travel that distance. And of course, the universe is not static; it's expanding. So, even if even if the light took off now, it would take extra time to get to let's say, from this galaxy right here to this galaxy over here. It would take more time because, of course, the universe is expanding. That distance is not static. That's the whole idea of the expanding universe. All right. So now we're going to come to this story of oops. Hold on. Let me. Okay. So I wanted to show a picture of the feed horn antenna. These are some older photographs of it in black and white. This thing could rotate 360 degrees, and you could tilt the opening of the horn of the feed horn antenna in any direction as well. Astronomers were in this cabin up here on the stairs. It was basically microwaves. They were hired by AT&T to communicate with the first satellites, some of the very first satellites. But these two young astronomers had no idea that they were about to make some significant history. Let's take a look at this picture right here. Let me blow this up just a little bit. So we're just looking at that picture. Come on, I should have done this already. All right, so notice it has a national. It's actually a landmark, and of course there's there's an advertisement. Come on, there's Penzias and Wilson. Oh, come on. All right, this isn't going as well as I thought. These are the two astronomers that made the great discovery in 1962, and later both of them were awarded the Nobel Prize in Physics for this discovery. So what Penzias and Wilson did with that feed horn antenna is they received a signal, and the signal really didn't vary. They say it was I thought it was 1962. I might have been wrong about that. I guess it's 65. Anyhow, before that they detected this signal for many nights and even during the day. Like that's the thing about the feed horn antenna. Because it works in the microwave region, you could receive signals at any time. But basically, what happened was, as they turned the antenna to different locations, they got this same what they called noise, which it was a signal in the microwave region, and it was everywhere. And at first, since they were in New Jersey, they thought, well, maybe it has something to do with the radio transmissions from New York or something like that, from New York City. And so they aimed the antenna away from New York City. It wasn't that; it was it was still there. And then they found some pigeons nesting in the antenna. They scared them away, and this background radiation still continued. And just by chance, they started getting really frustrated. And one of them, I forget which one, I think it was Penzias, maybe it was Wilson, I don't know. They called Princeton, New Jersey, the very famous university there, not too far from where this antenna was in New Jersey, and they called the physics department, and they said, hey, we keep getting this signal, and we don't know what it is, and it won't go away. Like, it doesn't matter what time of year it is, it doesn't matter what time of day or night it is, it's the same signal. And just by chance, there was a professor there that was just getting ready. His name was Wilkinson, who was just getting ready to get his graduate students together to create an experiment to look for this thing, which turned out to be the echo, if you will, of the Big Bang. There was some theoretical work that had been done earlier that Penzias and Wilson had no knowledge of at all, this theoretical work said that, well, if the universe had a creation, a moment of creation, and nobody knew back then how long ago this was, that there should be a radiation, there should be some kind of echo of that event, so some kind of record of that event, and since the universe is expanding, that record would have redshifted, right? That it would show definite redshift, and so the signal, the wavelength would be greater as time goes on, and of course we're now 13.8 billion years from that time, and so that radiation, which was really in the probably originally in the gamma ray region, but has had enough time that the universe has expanded to such that now that radiation is in the microwave region. And that was the discovery. That was the thing that Penzias and Wilson were awarded the Nobel Prize in Physics for. They didn't get it in 1965. It was actually not till the 1970s that they received that. You don't get the Nobel Prize usually right away. Like if you make this discovery, it takes several years. So here's the idea. This is actually a really good picture right here. So let's take two galaxies that are some distance apart, and so that the light leaves the galaxy and travels to the other galaxy, and let's say it leaves the galaxy as blue light. Some 400 nanometers. Let's say it doesn't matter what it is, but what happens is the two galaxies. As time goes on, and it takes time for light to travel between galaxies, millions and millions of years, billions of years in some cases, depending on how far apart the galaxies are. But during that time, as the light is traveling from one galaxy to the other, the universe has had time to expand. So space itself has increased, and because of that, because space, the distance between points has increased, the light has been shifted to the red, and so that is the that's the red shift that that Hubble observed first, and then other people have observed it. So this is actually the signal or the wavelength of the signal. Notice it's somewhere between 1 and 2 millimeters. It peaks. There's the peak right there, and so since it peaks, we can measure the temperature of this thing, and this is now called the cosmic background radiation. But by the way, let me clarify this for just a second. This peak, like when we were able to measure this is not really what Penzias and Wilson were able to do. Their technology was not such that it wasn't advanced enough to make that kind of. It took several years after that for us to come up with the fact that it peaked. Using Wien's law, right? Remember the good old Wien's law? It has a peak at a certain wavelength, and therefore you can measure the temperature. And so, what is this temperature? It turns out that that's the temperature of space, like the overall temperature of the universe, or the average temperature of the universe. Of course, you get close to a star, that temperature gets up very, very high, but there's a lot of space out there, and so this is the average temperature of the universe, roughly 3 Kelvin. Notice they've given us a more accurate number right here, this 2.725 Kelvin, and actually it turns out that's a really important distinction between 3 Kelvin. In around 1990, there was a satellite that went up to very accurately measure where this peak was, and it gave us the first clue that it was in the late 80s that the temperature of background radiation was about 3 Kelvin. After that, let's see. So, and then after that, there was another. When was that? That was this is called WMAP. There was another satellite that was sent up. I forget when WMAP went up. I think it was in the early 2000s. Anyhow, it gave us a much better view, and we'll see that picture in just a little bit. And what's important is this accuracy tells us where the really hot spots in the background radiation are and where the cooler spots are, which is really important for us. One of the things that we notice, so this is another some more evidence towards the Big Bang, is that when we look out at galaxies, we find that roughly 24% of the matter in the universe is. Let me go back to a picture of two galaxies. Okay, so let's say you have 2 galaxies that are really, actually, let me go back even further. Okay, so if we go back to two galaxies that are really far apart, so far apart that the 2 galaxies can't even see each other, but there's been time enough in the universe for us to be able to see this galaxy over here and this galaxy over here, or any 2 galaxies, towards the very edge of the visible universe. The thing about that is, those 2 galaxies, which have basically no contact with each other whatsoever. I mean, there hasn't even been enough time, once again, for light to travel from one galaxy to another, but they both, and all galaxies, have approximately 24% of their mass in the form of helium. Okay? That's not a coincidence. So that's what this thing is talking about. Okay, so the amount of matter that was turned into helium occurred during the Big Bang, right? There was the Big Bang created hydrogen and created mostly hydrogen, right? About 76% hydrogen, and then 24% helium. That's why that percentage is locked in even today in all galaxies, right? So that is a reflection of, that's evidence for the existence, for the fact that there was this creation event 13.8 billion years ago that was the creation of the universe. The universe is still expanding. A while ago, before a very significant discovery was made that I'll talk about in just a little bit, in the year right before the millennium, right before the turn of the millennium, I think it was 1998 or 1999, there was a very significant discovery. But before that, people often wondered, will the universe keep expanding? Will it reach a point where the gravitation will cease the expansion and it'll collapse back in on itself? And that even got a name called the Big Crunch. And so, the question was, will the universe keep expanding forever? Is it a closed universe where it'll, gravity will cause it to collapse back in on itself? Or is it, infinite in size and a flat universe? Well, now, these next couple of slides are all about figuring that out. Okay, so this is really before the evidence of one of these is correct. We definitely have evidence for one of them. Whether it's a flat universe, an open universe, or a closed universe. Okay, so. It turns out it's an open universe. Just to give away the answer, it turns out that it is definitely a